on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. A Piatt County nonprofit is introducing a new collaborative effort to provide local support, education, and resources. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Executive Director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center, Tony Kirkman, told the Heart Media Group the Piatt County Mental Health Initiative brings together local nonprofits, healthcare providers, and small businesses to design a community-wide approach to emotional well-being.
Yeah, so there's an old African proverb that says if you want to get there fast, go alone, but if you want to go further, go together. And so I believe that when we collaborate, we can accomplish some great things. So actually, there was a group of about 4 or 5 different local nonprofits and service providers that met in early February to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month in May and what we could do to work collaboratively. So we established what was called the Piatt County Mental Health Initiative. And it's a collaboration of providers like the Mental Health Center, Kirby Medical Center. The Jamie Boone Project was a nonprofit on suicide awareness prevention. Yoga Off the Square for mindfulness, never forgotten, that talks about trauma care, and Hope Lives Youth Ranch. And I know I'm forgetting somebody else, and I apologize for that. But really trying to figure out how we could kind of come at the topic of emotional wellness from a very collaborative approach. So
the initiative features specialized workshops held every Wednesday in May, covering topics such as emotional wellness, mindfulness, trauma-enforced care, and first responders, and suicide awareness.
We put together this initiative. We're very pleased that we have a workshop that's been offered every single Wednesday in the month of May. So myself and a colleague from Kirby did emotional wellness. Last week we did, Josie Heck from Yoga Off the Square did a workshop on mindfulness. Mm-hmm. We have trauma-informed care for first responders happening tomorrow. And the Jamie Boone Project will be wrapping us up the last week of May. So okay. Those are the workshops. The Piatt County Mental Health Board is trying to share awareness about mental health awareness. So they put together these kind of cool little stress balls. They're shaped like a brain, just reminding people that emotional health care is health care, as well as we've put together a little business passport. So there's at least 30 different local businesses that are all coming around highlighting the topic of mental wellness. And so they've dressed up their store windows with green ribbons, or they have been willing to hold some material from the 988 Crisis Lifeline or some other mental health tools.
Among a great deal of local participation, Kirkman indicates that high school and middle school students in Monticello have created custom coffee sleeves featuring messages of hope and encouragement, which are currently being utilized at local coffee shops.
We've put together encouraging messages for veterans. So we've gotten a couple rolls of paper so that we can send those out to the brave men and women who protect our freedoms. And then lastly, we had the Monticello High School and the Monticello Middle School youth work on creating encouraging messages on emotional health that are on coffee sleeves, and they're being sold at 2 of our local coffee shops. So anytime you go and purchase a coffee, hopefully you find one of those coffee sleeves that just reminds you to look for the good, to remind yourself that you're valued, you're important, you have purpose. So it really is a community approach to a community need.
The broad involvement from schools, civic organizations, and local business owners underscores a shared commitment to keeping mental health support strictly localized. Kirkman emphasized that utilizing local strengths to meet community needs allows neighbors to better support and take care of one another.
Well, I think some of it stemmed from so as you know, our voters in November of 24 voted to approve a Piatt County mental health referendum that helped us, strengthen some of the systems that we have and expand some capacities. And out of that, the mental health board wanted to resource local providers. And so, as I said, we sat together in early February, and now I remember the other person, I forget. Andy Owens is the owner of KB Community Cafe, and she does a great job of promoting community resources and highlighting some of the events that are here. So we got a lot of the funders that 708 supports together, as well as some other colleagues that I've made over the years, and just said, hey, this is our home. And how can we meet local needs with local resources? And so that's what I love, is that I think that most needs can be met by local strengths. And so every person around that table looks at this as not only a community provider, but this is our home. These are our neighbors, and we take care of our own around.
Yeah. Find the Piatt County Mental Health Center on Facebook for more about this initiative and the happenings in real time. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. Best of all, it's all free all the time, right at your fingertips. Again, your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
Longview Community Bank is now open in Clinton, investing in rural Illinois. I'm Vice President Nate Sams. Stop by for a visit or to find out how we provide real local banking. Click our banner ad at the top of the local news page on DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sportswire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WHOW and all its digital platforms, the Clinton Lady Maroons defeated the Maroa-Forsyth Trojans by a final score of 2-1 in a regional quarterfinal matchup on Tuesday night in Clinton. With the game tied at 0-0 through the first 4 innings, Kinsey Sickles lined a double to right in the top half of the 5th for Clinton, who played as the away team despite playing on their home turf due to poor field conditions in Forsyth. Campbell Bass followed Sickles with a single. A sac bunt from 9-hitter Olivia Haynes put 2 outs on the board, but advanced both runners into scoring position. As the lineup turned over, Riley Fentress hit a ground ball and reached on an error from pitcher Abby Ryder that allowed Sickles to score and Bass to advance. Another error, this time from the first baseman, allowed Annalise Thompson to reach and Bass to score to make it 2-0 in favor of the Maroons. In the home half of the 5th, 9-hitter J.C. Ravenscraft reached on Haynes' only walk of the day and was scored by a double from Callie Kaler to get one back for Maroa-Forsyth and make it 2-1. Bass finished the day 2 for 3 with a pair of singles and a run scored. Sickles was 1 for 3 with a run scored. Haynes was 1 for 2. Haynes twirled 7 innings of 1-run ball, allowing 5 hits, permitting 2 walks and striking out 4. Kaler was 3 for 4 with the lone RBI for the Trojans. Malia Hunter and Larner recorded the only other hits for Maroa-Forsyth. With the win, Clinton improves to 10-19 and will take on the top-seeded Tolono Unity on Wednesday in Forsyth. First pitch is at 4:30 p.m. Hear the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. The Trojans finished the season with a record of 11-18-1. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Cassidy Stoffel twirled a complete game shutout and drove in a run as she led Monticello to a 2-0 victory over Oakwood in a Class 2A high school softball regional semifinal action on Tuesday at the Bloomington Central Catholic Regional. Stoffel was brilliant for Monticello, retiring 19 of the final 21 batters she faced. The Lady Comets got back-to-back two-out singles in the first inning and only had 2 base runners after that. The senior struck out 8, walked 0 batters, and permitted just 4 hits. Stoffel also drove in the ultimate winning run with a bloop single in the 3rd inning. Annie Robinson drove in a run in the 4th inning. Robinson finished 2 for 2 with an RBI. Stoffel was 1 for 3 with an RBI, earning the State Bank of Bement Player of the Game. Allie Widener was 1 for 2 with a walk for the Lady Sages, who improved to 23-9 overall. They will play the winner of Wednesday's second regional semifinal in Bloomington between Central Catholic and Westville. Game time is 4:30 on Friday from Bloomington. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. In high school softball regional quarterfinal scores from yesterday in Class 1A, the 8th-seeded Armstrong took down the 9th-seed Gibson City Melvin Sibley 1-0, while the 7th-seed Arthur Levington Atwood Hammond took down the 10th-seeded Martinsville 14-4. In Class 1A regional semifinal scores, the 2-seeded Hayworth took down the 7th-seeded Champaign St. Thomas More 2-0, while the 2nd-seeded Villa Grove beat the 7th-seeded Cerro Gordo 14-2. In Class 2A regional semifinal scores from yesterday, the 2nd-seeded Eureka took down the 8th-seeded Spoon River Valley 4-3, while the 3-seeded IVC took down the 6th-seed Illini West 11-1. The 1-seed Olympia beat 7th-seeded Farmington 9-0, while 2nd-seeded Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin beat 7th-seeded Warsaw 10-2. The 3rd-seeded Beardstown beat 5th-seeded Pleasant Plains 8-2, while the 4th-seeded Warrensburg Latham beat the 5th-seed Auburn 7-3. Top-seeded Rochester beat 8th-seeded Riverton 17-1. And in regional quarterfinal scores in Class 2A from yesterday, El Paso Gridley as the 9th seed took down the 8th-seeded Paxton Buckley Loda 21-9, while the 8th-seeded Sullivan beat the 10th seed Shelbyville 21-6. In tonight's high school softball regional semifinal matchups, 4th-seeded Central A&M will take on the 6th-seeded Altamont at 7 p.m., while the 6th-seeded Tremont will play the 3rd-seed Rushville Industry today at 4:30 p.m. at Concord Triopia. The 7th-seeded Arthur Levington Atwood Hammond plays the 2nd-seeded Windsor at Toledo Cumberland, while the top-seeded Meridian will play 8th-seeded Shiloh at Tuscola at 4:30 p.m. Following that game, Tuscola will host, as the 6th seed, will host the 4th-seeded Argenta Oriena at 6:30 p.m. In Class 2A regional semifinal matchups today, the 9th-seeded El Paso Gridley will play the top-seeded Peru St. Bede at Prairie Central at 4:30 p.m. And the 4th-seeded St. Joseph Ogden will take on the 5th-seeded Tri-Valley at 6:30 p.m. at Maroa-Forsyth. The Clinton Maroons fell behind early but rallied late to beat the Maroa-Forsyth Trojans 7-4 in non-conference high school baseball action on Tuesday night in Clinton. The Trojans jumped out ahead early as Gunnar Larner doubled on a fly ball to center that scored Ace Giles from second and advanced Camden Trendler to third. In the next at-bat, Trendler scored on a wild pitch delivered by Jack Manning. After Kobe Lane walked, Cooper Weiss popped out to second to end the inning with a 2-0 Trojans advantage. Maroa-Forsyth added another 2 runs in the fourth after back-to-back singles to lead off the inning from Giles and Trendler. They were brought home by Kobe Lane's ground ball to center field to make it 4-0. Ryan Pine led off the bottom of the fifth inning with a single, followed by a Cole Fentress walk for Clinton. 2 batters later, Jackson Reynolds slammed a 2-out 3-run homer to bring the game within 4-3 for the Maroons. An inning later, Josh Bass led off with a single, and Brock Wilson was hit by a pitch to put runners on first and second. From there, Haynes came in to pitch for the Trojans and committed a balk that loaded the bases, setting up a Stone Stith single that scored Wilson and Bass and gave the lead to the Maroons 5-4. Reynolds singled in the bottom of the sixth and was the nail in the coffin as he scored Jackson Cooper and Cole Fentress for the final tally of 7-4. Reynolds led the Maroons with a 2-for-2 day at the plate, a run scored, 2 walks, and 5 RBIs. Fentress was 1-for-2 with a pair of runs scored. Josh Bass and Ryan Pine each recorded hits in the outing as well, and Stone Stith recorded a 1-for-3 day with an RBI. Jack Manning got the start for the Maroons, pitching 5 innings of 4-run ball with 7 hits and 5 strikeouts. Freshman Cooper Massey got the save with 2 shutout innings of relief, allowing just 1 hit, permitting 1 walk, and striking out 2. Giles, Trendler, and Grady Rose each posted 2-hit days at the plate, with Giles and Trendler each coming home twice. Larner and Lane each had a hit. Lane brought home 2, and Larner plated 1. With the win, Clinton improves to 19-12. They will finish the regular season with a conference matchup at CIC rival Shelbyville on Thursday. Each team getting an early look at their first-round opponent as the postseason begins next week. Maroa-Forsyth falls to 19-9-1 and will take on Eureka at home this evening at 5 p.m. The number 9-seeded Fighting Illini fell to number 8-seeded Iowa 10-6 in its Big Ten tournament opener on Tuesday afternoon at Charles Schwab Field, Omaha. J.R. Nelson, A.J. Putty, and Kyle Shupman all posted multi-hit days at the plate for the Orange and Blue, while Putty and Colin Jennings both hit home runs in the contest. The Illini opened the scoring with 4 runs in the top of the first. Jack Zebig and Shupman tallied RBIs before Jennings belted his 16th home run of the season, a 2-run shot to right to extend the Illini advantage to 4-0. Iowa accounted for the game's next 4 runs before Nelson put the Orange and Blue back in front in the fourth with a 2-strike, 2-out RBI single. In the top of the fifth, Putty powered a solo shot over the wall in left for his 9th long ball of the year, doubling the Orange and Blue advantage to 6-4. The Hawkeyes went in front in the 7th and led for the remainder of the game. Andrew Benintendi drove in the go-ahead run with an infield single in the 9th inning. 4 Chicago pitchers held Seattle to 1 hit, and the Chicago White Sox beat the Seattle Mariners 2-1 on Tuesday night.
Never stop playing. Will Venable has deemed it his team's superpower, and it was on full display yet again on Tuesday night in Seattle as the Sox were being shut out 1-0 into the 9th, and that's when they found some life.
Runners go. The pitch is outside and no throw. Oh, that's big. A double steal.
A little small ball to set the table for Chase and Benny.
Mydroth hits ground ball into right, base hit. Hill will score. Vargas stops at third. Tendy the batter. He hits a ground ball off the glove of Naylor. Everybody but he's safe. Vargas scores. Sox lead 2-1.
Grant Taylor slammed the door shut in the 9th, and the Sox evened up the series against the Mariners. Rubber game Wednesday afternoon. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 2:30 on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The Sox are back on WHOW on Friday when they play the first of a 3-game series with the San Francisco Giants. Pregame starts at 8:30 p.m. Jacob Misiorowski pitched 6 scoreless innings. Bryce Terang was 3 for 4 with a 2-run homer, and the Milwaukee Brewers topped the Chicago Cubs 5-2 on Tuesday night to move into first place in the NL Central. Jake Bauers had 2 hits and an RBI, and Garrett Mitchell drove in a run to help Milwaukee win for the 10th time in its last 12 games and moving to 28-18. The pitcher allowed 3 singles and extended his scoreless streak to 24 1/3 innings while striking out 8 and walking 1. The right-hander hasn't yielded a run in the last 4 starts dating to April 24th. Nico Horner and Seiya Suzuki had RBIs as Chicago got 4 of its 7 hits and both of its runs off reliever Aaron Ashby in the 8th inning. Chad Patrick entered and got Mike